Hello, boys and girls. If you have been following me, the last couple sessions have been making art from famous artists with things that you have around your house. So we did a Piet Mondrian, and he did some bold primary colors that we used a putty knife for, or an icing spreader, and he had a lot of black lines that we used Hot Wheel wheels for. Last one was a Claude Monet water lilies. We painted with food, lettuce and celery, and some flowers, and we used a ruler to give it that cool water lily effect. Today we're going to be studying Georgia O'Keeffe. She was born in Wisconsin but lived primarily in New Mexico. She painted big, beautiful flowers. She also did the New Mexico landscape, desert landscape, and she loved to paint animal bones with flowers on them. Today we're going to be focusing on some beautiful big Georgia O'Keeffe flowers with things that you can find around your house. So you will need coffee filters. I'm sure mom and dad drink tons of coffee. These white round ones work best. If you don't have the white ones, those brownish tan ones will work fine as well. You'll need glue, scissors. You will need any color of construction paper. These were 8.5 by 11 pieces of paper, and I cut them down to 8.5 squares. I think it's a little bit easier to work with when we're going to add our flowers is if it's a perfect square. You can leave it an 8.5 by 11 paper. You do not have to cut it down. You will also need not hydrogen peroxide. You will need rubbing alcohol. So this should be in your bathroom pantry, your linen closet. Some of it is 70%, some of it is 90%. It really doesn't matter. And if you don't have rubbing alcohol, you can use water. This is just a squirt bottle of water that we use for when our hair is crazy. And markers, any kind of markers, any color of markers. You can use Sharpies. But all these things you should be able to find around your house. So to get started, we're going to take and we're going to fold our first coffee filter into fourths. So did you see how I did that? I folded it in half, and then I'm going to fold it in half again. So it kind of looks like this cone shape. And I'm just going to take and slightly wave the edge. Just slightly wave the edge. I'm going to open it back up. I'm going to keep it folded in half, and I'm going to color it. I might use some lighter color, and you don't have to color it completely in. I will give you a little tip. The more color you get on here, the brighter your flower will be. And you can just, if you keep it folded in half, you can just color half of it and it's still gonna work. If you don't wanna fold it in half and you wanna open it back up and color the whole thing, you can do that as well. I'll show you both ways. So we'll keep this one folded in half. I added some light blue. Let's see, I'm gonna add some of this, this pretty darker, it's kind of like a turquoise blue. Now, I'm not being super neat with my coloring, but remember, the more color you do get on there, the brighter your flower is gonna be. And I'm gonna stick with my blue theme, and I'm gonna come in here and use this really dark blue. All right, so there's one. I'm gonna set this one aside. I would recommend 2 to 3 coffee filters per flower. So again, I'm gonna fold this one in half, and I'm gonna fold it in half again so we get that cone shape. And I'm gonna wave the edge of this one again only this time I'm going to cut it smaller. So I'm going to come down a little bit further, and I'm going to wave just slightly the edge again. Now I'm going to open this one up, and this one I'm going to color completely opened. So it, like I said, it's completely up to you. I'm going to start in the center, and I'm going to do some orange. And let's go around it with some yellow. This is going to be so gorgeous. I'm going to spin this so it's easier to color. And let's see, I might do a little bit of blue. Now I'm not going to do a lot. Now notice my line spacing is a lot further apart, so I'm not going to have that much color around the outer edge, not as much as what color I'm going to have in the center. So there is my second one. So when these are all finished, these two will be put together to make one flower, and I'll show you that. Let's move on to our next flower. This one will fold again. We'll fold it in half. I'm not gonna cut this one and make this one any smaller. I'm gonna leave it big like this. But I'm gonna fold it in half and color it. Let's see, let's use some pretty pinks. Ooh, this bright pink. This will look awesome. And I'm just going to kind of color the center of this with the bright, bright pink. Let's see if I can find a different shade of pink in here. There's a different shade. Let's see what this one looks like. Oh yeah, this is more of like a burgundy pink. My marker's running out. These markers are kind of old, but they still do their job. Georgia O'Keeffe was a pretty cool lady. She would paint flowers really, really close up. One of my favorite paintings of her is a cow skull that she had painted with a big beautiful flower on the outside of one of its horns. She's got the desert sunset in the background and some desert hills that you can kind of see through the eyes of the skull. It just looks really, really cool. She did some really neat stuff. She was also a photographer. So she would take pictures of the landscape as well. All right, so this one's finished. Let's move on to the next one. Now this one I'm gonna cut, and I'm gonna cut it in a really cool shape. So we're gonna fold it again in fourths. We're gonna fold this one in half. We're gonna fold it in half again. Now this one I'm gonna make it look like there's flower petals. So I'm gonna start from the corner that's folded, not the corner that's open. I'm gonna start from the side that's folded. And I'm gonna just kind of make a pointed flower, and I'm gonna move on around. We'll set that aside, and then from this point, I'm gonna kind of round it. Move on around. Doesn't really look like much yet, but can you tell what I'm trying to do? When we are finished, we will have what looks like a flower. And then from this point, just gonna go on around. Pretty neat, huh? So when I open this up, it looks like a flower. All right, we will color this one. Let's see. What if we do some red in the middle? Ooh, this marker has seen its better days, but it still works. This will be like a red poppy. let's come around with some pale pink. Actually, let's use this coral color. Can you see that? It's kind of like a coral color. We're going to use that first. It's really close to the red, but I think when we spray it, you'll be able to tell the difference. I'm going to spin this. And I'm going, this second color, I'm going almost all the way to the edge of the flowers. So pretty much the whole center is colored in markers now. Now I'll take this lighter pink and I'm just going to kind of color in each little petal. All right, so now when this is finished, we will have colored 4 coffee filters. We will have cut 3 of them, and this will make 2 flowers. Each flower having 2 layers. You can always add more layers. You can have a flower with 3 or 4 layers. You can have a flower with just 1 layer. These are your flowers. Just make them big like Georgia O'Keeffe did. Almost finished here. Well, that one doesn't want to stay down. All right, the next step is kind of fun. So we're gonna lay, you will need to cover your surface for this next step. So we'll start with this one. And if you don't have the rubbing alcohol, again, you can use water. I took some of the rubbing alcohol and I put it in this little spray bottle, and you're just gonna spray your coffee filter. You want it to be completely saturated, and you're just gonna set this to the side to dry. This one, I'm gonna use water. I'll show you. It really doesn't matter if you use water or if you use the rubbing alcohol. It's all gonna make the color run together anyways. Let's set this one aside to dry. We've got these blue ones. If you don't have a squirt bottle, something that you can use is a little measuring cup that you take medicine in. You can put water in here, or you can put your rubbing alcohol in here. So I'll just pour a little bit in here. And then you can use one of these little syringes. This is also for medicine. And I'm just gonna take it, I'm gonna fill it from this little cup here. Maybe, it's kind of hard. There we go. And then you can squirt really slowly this on your flower, covering your whole flower. That is, if you do not have a spray bottle, you can use one of those and it works just the same. It has completely covered that coffee filter. Now, you will need to let these dry. They dry pretty quickly, maybe an hour, maybe 2. On the coffee filters that you only colored half of the side, if you didn't open them up and color the whole thing, if you kept them folded in half and colored just that half, you're gonna need to leave them folded when you spray it. And just make sure that it gets both sides wet. You'll see that the color just kind of bleeds right through. That's why you don't have to take the time to open it up and color the whole thing. You can leave it folded and just color one half of it. All right, now that I've made a really wet, big mess, we are gonna build our flowers. I have some coffee filters that I did yesterday that are completely dry. Now, I did not add a lot of color to these, so they're a lot lighter than the ones will be that we did together today. I'm just gonna get another piece of paper and kind of put over that wet spot. I'm gonna use this darker blue, and what you can do is decide what flower is gonna go with what coffee filter is going to go with what coffee filter to build the flowers. And what you want to do is you want to start with the biggest one. This is one that I did not cut. This is the full size of the coffee filter. And I'm just going to pinch in the middle where all those lines meet. I'm just going to pinch it up like so. Kind of flatten it out a little bit so that it's kind of pinched. Do you guys see how it's kind of pinched right there? I'm going to decide where I want it, and I'm going to take my Elmer's glue and put just a little dot. You don't need a lot. It will stick. And if you just hold and press and count to 10, that will hold it. You can kind of fluff your flower. But if you pinch it, it kind of creases it up. It makes it look 3D. It's not perfectly flat on the paper. All right, for the next one, I'm going to do the same thing. It has those 4 lines in it again, right in the center where they meet. I'm going to kind of pinch them together and kind of twist the end just a little bit and then smash it flat. And I'm going to put, this is going to be the center of this flower, so I'm going to put another dot of glue right on top of that one. And I'm going to smash and hold this one just for about 10 seconds. Just count to 10. And kind of hold it and press it with your finger. While you're holding it, you can kind of fluff your flower so that it'll stick up a little bit. There we go. There is one beautiful Georgia O'Keeffe flower. All right, I'm going to do that all over again. I'm going to take my biggest one. I'm going to pinch the middle a little bit. I'm going to put glue on my paper where I want this flower to go. Just a dot. You really do not need a lot. Elmer's glue will hold it. And right where I pinched it, I'm going to hold it that 10 seconds. This is going to be so pretty, this pink on this blue background. Here's the next smaller one. This is one that I did trim, so it's a little bit smaller than that one. I'm going to pinch it, kind of twist it. If you kind of twist it, it really gives it that crinkly, wavy look. I'm going to kind of hold it flat. This is going to be another little bit of center for this flower. And this flower is going to actually have 3 layers. So there's the first 2 layers. I'm just going to kind of hold these in place to make sure that they stay. Some of our earlier, this coffee filter is almost dry, the first one that we did. It really doesn't take a lot of time to dry. All right, this is one that I did earlier, and we cut it to look like a flower just like this one. The same thing, you're going to take it and you're going to pinch up the very center, kind of give it a little twist. And this is going to be the very center of this last flower, so right in there, I'm going to put another little dot of glue. Can you see? You really don't need a lot. And I'm just going to stick that right in there. You're going to kind of press and hold for about 10 seconds just to make sure that they're going to stick and hold together. Now, once you have built your flowers, I've put 2 flowers on here. I've got one with 2 layers, one with 3. You can build your flowers however you want to. I have lots of paper space, so I actually could put a couple more flowers on here so that my whole paper looks like a big, beautiful collection of Georgia O'Keeffe flowers. Let it dry flat for a while, and then when you're all done, you can have Mom or Dad tape it to the window. They're just really beautiful, bright, springy flowers. I hope you had fun making some Georgia O'Keeffe flowers with things that you could find around your house with me today. Come back and see me again. Bye.